Prezydent Andrzej Duda zakończył 3-dniową wizytę dyplomatyczną w Republice Słowenii. W jej trakcie spotkał się m.in. z panią prezydent Republiki Nataszą Pirc-Musą, a także premierem Robertem Golobem. Tematami rozmów były kwestie związane z cyberbezpieczeństwem oraz wydatkami na obronność w państwach inicjatywy Trójmorza. Poruszano również kwestie dotyczące integracji europejskiej Bałkanów Zachodnich.
Polska jest zainteresowana w
Poland is interested in participating in many sectors of the Slovenian economy, such as digitization, communications, logistics and transportation. It welcomes the fact that Slovenia is increasingly becoming a key partner of Polish business or an intermediary in dealing with other countries. At the same time, Poland is looking with hope at the increasing number of Slovenian investments in our country. We encourage Slovenian business to take advantage of the opportunities offered by our special investment zones.
dają nasze specjalne strefy inwestycyjne.
Today, after the official part of the Polish-Slovenian Business Forum, Polish President Andrzej Duda, accompanied by the President of the Republic of Slovenia, decorated Slovenian ski jumper Andrzej Lanisek. His decoration was an expression of gratitude for the fair play attitude that Andrzej Lanisek showed towards Polish ski jumper Dawid Kubacki last season.
Skoczka narciarskiego Dawida Kubackiego.
From Planica, Michał Gwardyński. There will be no raising of the tax-free income tax allowance to 60,000 zloty in Poland. After 100 days of inaction on the part of the Civic Coalition government, which promised just such a change before the elections, the opposition Confederation stepped in to help. Its ready-made bill on the tax-free allowance, however, ended up in the bin. This was Donald Tusk's flagship election promise. We are talking about the tax-free allowance raised to 60,000 zloty. But the bill on this issue was submitted by the Confederation. You are going so poorly with these 100 specifics that the Confederation wanted to help you.
Kto się wstrzymał?
The Sejm, however, rejected by a majority vote the proposal to raise the tax-free allowance to 60,000 zloty. I'm certainly not happy about it, because they always promise, and you know how it comes out.
No bo to jest kiełbasa wyborcza.
Because it was an election ploy for them. It is very often the case that election promises that are made at the beginning of an election are forgotten. Then 4 years pass. We manage to forget that someone promised something and didn't do it, and we vote for another false election promise.
No i głosujemy na kolejną kiełbasę wyborczą.
MPs from the Civic Coalition, among others, voted against raising the tax-free allowance, thus against fulfilling their own promise.
Jestem z Koalicji Obywatelskiej I wiem.
I'm from the Civic Coalition, and I know that we'll do it when we fix a budget which you guys blew up so badly that no one expected it. I'm from the Civic Coalition, so in my life I will not vote for the Confederation bill.
A więc w życiu nie zagłosuję za ustawą Konfederacji.
8 other drafts on the Civic Coalition's list of unfulfilled promises were also submitted by the Law and Justice Party. Today, Donald Tusk is absent, and I wanted to address Donald Tusk with a question. Where are the election promises fulfilled? Where are the 100 promises that Donald Tusk promised? Ladies and gentlemen, it is not 100 promises, but 100 lies.
Proszę Państwa, to nie 100 konkretów, tylko 100 kłamstw.
One of them is the law on voluntary social security for businessmen. It assumes that owners of sole proprietorships could opt out of social security. The 13th of December coalition, contrary to pre-election promises, proposes to make social security mandatory 11 times a year.
Nie takie były deklaracje wyborcze. Deklaracja wyborcza
These were not the election declarations. The election declaration of the PSL, but also of the other groupings that make up this majority coalition, was that all sole proprietorships would have the right to choose to pay social security contributions or not.
Wyboru. Płacą składkę ZUS-owską, czy też jej nie płacą.
Today, the leaders of the Third Way would prefer to forget those promises.
Nikt nigdy.
No one ever formally in the Third Way entering into a coalition promised anyone a completely voluntary social security for that reason.
Nie jest dobry pomysł.
These are the words of the leader of the Third Way, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz.
Bardzo dobrym pomysłem.
A very good idea, which is our idea, our author's idea, is the idea of voluntary social security. And this is so well received.
Taką dobrym odbiorem.
Other promises, 0% loans, 0% VAT on public transport tickets, or fuel at 5 zloty 19 per litre, were also well received by voters.
Ludzie w Polsce będą mieli
People in Poland have more in their pockets. It will be cheaper in Polish stores and it will be better in every Polish home.
i będzie lepiej w każdym polskim domu.
100 days have passed, promises have turned into metaphors.
Jeśli z czegoś chciałbym się wytłumaczyć,
If there is anything I'd like to account for, it's a failure to convince enough voters on the 15th of October so as to get all the instruments in hand.
tak żeby dostać wszystkie instrumenty do ręki.
To jest najtrudniejsza rzecz.
This is the most difficult thing for Tusk and the Civic Coalition because you have to account precisely for the specifics, while the only specific they are fulfilling, and more than fulfilling, is the fight against law and justice.
Związują i to z nawiązką, to jest walka z PiS-em.
The new government gives assurances that work is underway in the ministries on all the promises on the list of 100 promises. Law and justice politicians are responding by organising parliamentary inspections. These are expected to report on their results later this week. Russia launched a missile attack on Kyiv, the Ukrainian capital, early on Thursday, injuring at least 10 people and damaging residential buildings and industrial facilities, although air defences downed all the missiles. The first large attack in recent weeks targeted the city with both ballistic and cruise missiles, according to Serhiy Popko, the head of its military administration. It's been going on for 2 years already. This is a ruthless extermination of Ukrainians and an attack on the civilian population that was just sleeping. Thanks to our air defense forces, the missile couldn't hit the apartment block, just the shrapnel. We are alive thanks to this.
Ми відчуваємо ненависть, страшенну ненависть.
We feel hatred, terrible hatred. This is not fear, this is hatred, towards Russia generally and everyone there in particular.
На Росію і на всіх, хто там.
Я ще хочу слово сказати.
I also want to say a word. I send greetings to my parents in Crimea who voted. They went to the elections and voted for Putin. Mom, Dad, thank you a lot that my husband and I almost got killed today. Thank you.
Те, що мене сьогодні ледь не вбило з чоловіком. Дякую.
Тут палали машини, взривалося, усе палали машини.
The cars were burning over there. Everything was exploding. The cars were burning. I came back, took cat carriers, tried to find my cats, but I couldn't.
Але не знайшла.
Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said that at least 10 people were injured across the city. An 11-year-old girl was among the 2 people taken to hospital, city officials said. Residents of a multi-story building in the central district of Shevchenkivsky were evacuated after one of the apartments caught fire. The attack also shattered windows in several houses nearby and set private cars ablaze. The Russian military used strategic bombers and also launched some missiles from its territory while following complicated maneuvers in neighboring regions. The missiles targeted the city from different directions. Air alerts lasted for nearly 3 hours. Missile debris hit several residential buildings, industrial sites and a kindergarten across the city. Ukraine's air defences shot down all 31 Russian missiles targeting the capital. Rising unhappiness among young people has caused the United States and some large Western European countries to fall down a global well-being index known as the annual World Happiness Report, while Nordic nations retain their grip on the top spots. People in 143 countries and territories were asked to evaluate their life on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 representing the best possible life. Results from the past 3 years are averaged to create a ranking. In broad terms, the rankings are loosely correlated with countries' prosperity, but other factors such as life expectancy, social bonds, personal freedom and corruption appear to influence individuals' assessments too. The United States dropped out of the top 20 for the first time, falling to 23rd place from 15th last year, due to a big drop in the sense of well-being Americans aged under 30 feel, the report shows. Spring breakers in Miami Beach were generally happy due to their location, but also mentioned the stress of inflation and how it's affected their happiness.
I've definitely seen people that have been happier than me for sure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, that goes on different in their lives and everything, and we go through different solutions and like all this and like all the time. So definitely people have been happier than me for sure.
I feel like life could be stressful at times, and like I feel like here in the U.S. it can be really hard. Different people have their own situations, but
I think because of how expensive it is to live now, and a lot of people depend on like their financial situation to make them happy, and it's the struggle when you don't have the financial stability to like live. So I think that's why, because it's hard out here.
Yeah.
But
especially living in New York, it's very expensive, high taxes, you know, work almost every day out of the week.
Miami's expensive too. Everyone's expensive now.
Well, I think inflation has, made a lot of people struggle more, so that can be true, but I don't know. A lot of people want to come here, so I don't think it's too unhappy.
Students at DePaul University in Chicago expressed a heightened sense of pessimism on Wednesday, citing diminished opportunities and societal pressures as key factors.
I don't think we're to blame so much as the system's kind of coming to a natural conclusion, and we're ending up with a lot less of the opportunities than the previous generations had, so we're going to be a little less happier.
Some of the stuff that has been occurring recently, especially with the political tension and climate, a lot of us, a lot of us don't really feel a lot of hope for the future. A lot of us, actually, for instance, when I graduated high school, I originally just wanted to leave the United States. I wanted to go to Germany. Just like the political climate here, not just political climate, but also just the climate that we have in the United States is just not something that I think is healthy for a lot of us. I mean, a lot of us have to think about student debt in order to go to college, where in comparison to, countries like Germany or Poland.
While a global ranking of the happiness of those aged 60 and over would place the United States 10th, under 30s life evaluations alone put the United States in 62nd place. Finland remained in the top spot with an average score of 7.7, followed closely by Denmark, Iceland and Sweden, while Afghanistan and Lebanon held the bottom two spots with scores of 1.7 and 2.7 respectively. The findings are at odds with much previous research into well-being, which found happiness highest in childhood and early teens before falling to its lowest in middle age, then rising around retirement. Millennials and younger age groups in North America were significantly more likely than older age groups to report loneliness. While the phenomenon is starkest in the United States, the age gap in well-being is also wide in Canada and Japan, and to a lesser extent in France, Germany and the United Kingdom, which all lost ground in this year's rankings. By contrast, many of the countries with the biggest improvements in well-being are former communist countries in Central and Eastern Europe. There, unlike in richer countries, young people report significantly better quality of life than older people, often on a par or better than in Western Europe.